This new hologram technology is giving UCF students a chance to learn about patient health care without the patient ever even needing to step foot inside the classroom. Because more of its students and staff are now getting vaccinated, UCF says for those people coming onto campus, you'll no longer be required but encouraged to wear that face mask on campus. It's a big change for the university. The sandbagging station in Sanford is off to a slow but steady start ahead of Tropical Storm Elsa's arrival as families come out to pack up the supplies they need ahead of the storm's arrival. Yeah, Julie, doctors say that it is frustrating but not surprising. It's something they've been warning the public against for months. Later on tonight, Disney is preparing to launch its first passenger cruise ship since the pandemic began. The Dream Ship here is expected to set sail from here in Port Canaveral bound for Castaway Cay in the Bahamas. But the winds have definitely picked up here over the last hour or so, gusting pretty strong here. But overall, nothing too serious so far.
I can't imagine not coming here.
Every Tuesday and Thursday, Brian Straub shows up.
You want some help with that, Steve?
Ready to help out.
You got a big crew out there today, huh? I mean, it gets sad to my heart if I have to cancel one of those days.
Missing a day seems unimaginable just 6 months after he started volunteering.
I was lost a couple of my jobs. It was like, I got to find something to do. I just retired in 2018. So I just started looking at the website and I found Second Harvest.
Volunteers are vital to the success of our mission. We really, truly couldn't do what we do without their support.
60 to 80 volunteers show up here daily, sorting through the food, checking expiration dates, making sure they can feed the growing demand for food from families in need. They're down from the 150 a day they were seeing before the pandemic, in part due to COVID restrictions and social distancing. But Volunteer Services Director Mindy Ortiz says even with that dip, the pandemic has driven many people to help out.
All of people that would normally come through their corporate world were coming in as individuals right now. I think a lot of the people were sort of tired of being home and wanted to feel good and do something for their communities.
It's help they need. The COVID-19 crisis is doubling the demand for food. They now distribute 300,000 meals here daily. Volunteers like Straub are the key to keeping food on the table for families.
It's heartwarming that we get to come and do this. And I know that when I leave, that we've helped the community out.
It's that drive to make a difference that pushes him to come back week after week.
Can we get that in there?
Hopeful that with every hour of time he donates, he's helping Second Harvest to take a big bite out of food insecurity.
And I've enjoyed every minute of it.
In Orlando, Rachael Krause, Spectrum News 13.
Hi there! Say hi!
At Lake Eola Park.
Hey, babies!
It's easy to ruffle feathers.
Oh, I'm not gonna hurt your babies, you know that. You're just being silly. Yeah, you showing off a little bit? I know, I love you too.
But over time,
I know.
Patty Sheehan has gotten to know this feathered family.
I'll bring you more food next time.
For 20 years now, she's found comfort in caring for these big birds.
Hi, Queenie.
Getting to know them.
Hi. Queenie will always be my favorite. She's the best.
And she's not alone in her love of these sassy swans.
People of Orlando feel very passionately about these babies, about their swans.
But that wasn't always the case. More than a decade earlier, the swans were being killed, attacked, even stolen regularly from Lake Eola. Why?
You know, they're just really, really weak. And I'm like, well, why are they weak? Well, they're not getting a proper diet. So then we started instituting a program. If you see the feeders in the lake, that's actually the proper diet for the swans. People were coming to the park and feeding them bread and donuts and junk. They weren't being given any veterinary care for 80 years. People just threw them in the lake and they weren't being taken care of. There you go.
Switching their diet and instituting annual doctor visits, these former sickly swans are now doing swimmingly, and getting the city to stick out their necks for their feathered friends wasn't tough. After all, they've lived here longer than most residents.
They're really old.
Flipping through the decades-old postcards from,
I'd say it's either the 50s or the 60s.
Swans could be spotted on Lake Eola.
I think they were like instant stars.
Both loved and feared.
Well, you know, I guess it's all relative. Some people love them. It depends on whether you've been chased by them.
walking through the Orange County Regional History Center's tourism exhibit.
But you kind of see some Florida kitsch.
Executive Director Pam Schwartz says that the swans became embraced as a symbol of the city beautiful by tourists pouring in.
Trains were coming down. People started coming back and forth. We sort of shipped goods out and we shipped people in.
Schwartz says their records show the first swans were purchased with the help of the city back in 1910. A pair of white swans and a pair of black swans for Lake Lucerne. One of those swans, still infamous a century later.
There's all these really great stories about Billy, and by great I mean kind of horrible. There's murders of the black swans, either at the hands of the white swans, well, not the hands, I guess, however swans do that, not hands.
Billy the Brute gaining notoriety among 4- and 2-legged Orlando residents when he killed his mate.
Sally got sick of waiting for Billy so she could go out and stretch her legs and take a swim, and he actually ended up killing Sally. More swans were brought in. There's just like a whole lot of drama.
Eventually, Billy was banished to Lake Eola, then on the outskirts of town, but still wreaking havoc.
Billy was so mean, he was biting everyone. And he actually was well known as being the mean swan. And actually, after Billy died of natural causes, he was stuffed and put in the History Center because everybody knew Billy. There you go. Come on.
In the decades since, the birds have become known more for their beauty than their beastly tendencies. It's let the city focus on less foul interactions and happier endings for the birds.
Hi there. Hi. You want to talk to me?
Including finding a new mate for Queenie the Swan to swim with.
We only had a one shot with this love story that Queenie and Big Boy would hit it off. But they really did, and now they have the 3 babies.
And it's these same babies that chat back and forth with Sheehan on her regular visits to the lake.
Hi, babies. Oh, I know.
Grateful for an extra snack and some attention.
Come on. Come on, you guys. I want you in the shot. Come on.
Sheehan says
Come on.
she can't imagine the lake without these lovebirds.
Where's Queenie? Queenie.
Grateful. Everyone else in town seems to feel the same.
I think everyone who lives here kind of has adopted the Lake Eola swans as their pet.
In Orange County, Rachael Krause, Spectrum News 13.
All right, let's get out. I'm going to take your stuff out.
Hopping into action, EMT student Seth Reynolds gets a crash course on safety during his first few weeks of school.
So it's just, we got to keep our patients safe at all times, the best as we can.
It's tough, but
I love it.
inside the classroom, Seth studies alongside other EMT students.
By 20 minutes, you should be loading your patient up and you should be heading to your rig.
But after class lets out, he heads to the fire station for some hands-on training with Seminole County firefighters.
So we're just, every morning we pull all of our tools out.
Lieutenant Jeff Vining walks Seth around the fire station, taking him through their daily routine.
It's a good review every morning of checking your tools, getting your hands on it.
Vining has known Seth since he was a little kid, in awe of the firefighter living down the street.
From that day on, he came to my house, every day wanting to just talk to me about the fire service, see my gear, try it on. He'd put my bunker pants on, walk around with the garden hose and be spraying stuff.
And 15 years later, Seth feels like Seminole County Fire's longest ever intern.
To see him come around for the past 15 years on a normal basis is great to see, and he's the kind of guys that we're looking for.
And helping him now that he's finally on his way to being one of them.
Yeah, it definitely gives me a head start.
This has been Seth's dream since he turned 3, when the fire department was called and showed up at his birthday.
I was 3 years old in this picture, so it was maybe like a month after the first time I ever actually played on a fire truck. And ever since then, it's just been a never-ending passion of mine to want to be in a fire service.
That dream now one step closer toward reality. After his mom died when Seth was a teenager, he says his best friend's parents became his second parents, loaning him the money to make sure Seth could go to EMT school and eventually become a firefighter.
Without them, this wouldn't be possible. Without Jeff, this wouldn't be possible. So I'm very blessed the people that I have in my life that are helping me get to where I am today.
And grateful, knowing that because of that help, he'll soon have the chance to protect and serve the community that he loves.
I think I was born to be in this profession, this line of work.
Rachael Krause, Spectrum News 13.
2,
to post.
Photo after photo.
And then from here to here is the muscle that we're looking at.
Paula Rivera works to get a good look at this leg.
The muscle looks a little bit more swollen.
She and her fellow PhD student, Chris Prope, need to get careful measurements.
3, 2, 1, 0, and go.
They're looking at the effects of different levels of oxygen in the body and how exercise and limiting oxygen and blood flow can impact it.
6, 7.
It's not easy.
Push, 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 push. 12, 13, 2 more. 14.
Research that could have impacts that are out of this world.
It's kind of neat how our research aligns with their potential goals of getting to Mars.
With both UCF and the Florida Space Institute, Dr. Ethan Hill has spent years studying how to maintain muscle mass and strength through exercise and the impact of blood flow.
Originally, you kind of don't really think, oh, exercise research can apply to astronauts, because they're not really exercising, but they are. They are exercising in space. They have to maintain their muscle mass.
With astronauts, that's perhaps even more serious because they're in a very jeopardized situation where they don't have gravitational forces to help facilitate muscle development.
Their research studying a prescription for exercise can be incorporated for astronauts in long-duration space flight to maintain muscle.
Yes, a lot of the stuff applies to NASA too, but like I said, I come from that sports medicine background where I can take a lot of the similar situations where if you're coming off a surgery, you can apply, you're not using that limb, how can we use what we're learning with this to apply for that?
Their work
9.5.
studying blood flow restriction
15.6.
and its impact on muscle size and strength is getting a lot of interest
13.3.
from NASA and other groups. The work they're doing at UCF is research that's needed before we send astronauts to the red planet, ensuring we can safely send humans into different gravity situations for months at a time.
If we can improve the efficiency and effectiveness of resistance training, that has huge applications for NASA, for older adults, for younger adults, for everyone alike.
The answers this kind of research can bring is big, Hill says.
And have you lay on your side now?
He and his team excited it could be put to use here on Earth.
Last pictures, okay?
And around our solar system. In Orlando, Rachael Krause, Spectrum News.